Episode 5 of The Last of Us picks up with a minor time skip taking place 10 days prior to Joel and Ellie's arrival at Kansas City. On the streets of Kansas, the Resistance celebrates their victory on overthrowing Fedra. Later in the episode, we learn Fedra in the Kansas City quarantine zone was infamous for their brutality and savagery, including sexual assault and torture. They were so infamous that even Joel was aware of what was happening in Kansas City. However, while this may justify the Resistance overthrowing Fedra, we see the Resistance as not too different. We don't see examples of sexual assault, but we do see that the Resistance's brutality is not too far from Fedra's. We witness people brutally beating Fedra soldiers to death and hang them over burning fires. As they search through the city, they drag a dead Fedra soldier whose body is filled with knives from the back of a truck. Kathleen, the leader of the Resistance, captures Fedra supporters and interrogates them for information about Harry's location. Though she promises a fair trial, she later tells her followers she has no intention to spare them and orders her people to kill the prisoners.
Are we really putting them on trial?
No.
This clearly shows the darkness of the world of The Last of Us and how much humanity has been lost in the apocalypse. Whether it's the totalitarian Fedra or the Resistance fighting them, there is no clear good and evil. The world of The Last of Us is a gray world where people will do anything in the name of survival. Henry and his brother Sam are running and hiding, hoping to find a way out of the city. We see the strong relationship between the brothers. Sam is deaf, and he overwhelmingly relies on his older brother to survive, seeing him as a superhero. Henry cares for Sam and will do anything to protect him. Eventually, food runs out, and they have to leave to find more. While they escape, they witness Joel fighting off the Resistance. Henry decides on a new plan and follows Joel and Ellie. Back in the present, Henry and Sam hold Joel and Ellie at gunpoint, though Henry is clearly out of his element. He bargains a deal. He'll show Joel and Ellie how they can escape the city, and in exchange, Joel and Ellie will clear a path for Henry and Sam to escape. Joel agrees to the deal. The next morning, Henry explains his plan, though first reveals he was a Fedra collaborator.
But you're not Fedra.
No. Worse. I'm a collaborator.
Joel is resistant to working with Henry, but Henry explains Joel has no better chance of escaping, because Henry knows the layout of the city. Downtown Kansas is surrounded by 4 highways, which are being patrolled by the Resistance. The only means of escape is to travel through a tunnel under the highway and escape outside the city. Henry explains that the reason Kansas City is free of infected is because Fedra drove them down into the maintenance tunnels across the city years ago, and that only a couple infected may exist in the tunnel. Despite being apprehensive against the plan, Joel has no choice but to agree. The 4 enter the tunnels and reach an underground settlement. During the initial days of the infection, people formed settlements in the tunnels to survive, and Joel explains that the reason they're gone is probably because they got infected. They decide to stop in a makeshift classroom for children to rest and wait to escape at night. While Ellie befriends Sam, Henry reveals why he's wanted.
I am the bad guy because I did a bad guy thing.
Sam was sick with leukemia and needed medication that only Fedra had. Henry needed something to trade for leukemia and was forced to reveal the original leader of the Resistance, Kathleen's brother Michael. Michael was a good man, someone courageous and selfish. There's no wonder Kathleen is persistent on capturing Henry. Meanwhile, Kathleen returns to her old bedroom and further explains how good of a man Michael was, how he used to comfort his sister when they were younger. Kathleen goes as far as describing Michael's personality as beautiful, whereas Kathleen admits she's not even close. Before dying, Michael asks Kathleen to spare Henry and forgive him, though Kathleen doesn't see the point because there is no sense of justice. Despite that, her second in command claims Michael didn't change anything and that Kathleen did, which is why everyone stands behind her. Joe, Ellie, Henry, and Sam exit the tunnels at night. Before they can reach the bridge crossing a river, they are pinned down by a sniper. Joel sneaks around and finds the sniper. Despite pleading for the sniper to stand down and spare his life, Joel is forced to kill him. He finds the sniper's radio and hears Kathleen and the Resistance are on their way. He is too late to warn the others and the Resistance arrive. Though everyone is pinned down, Joel manages to snipe the driver of a truck and force it to crash. Kathleen orders Henry to surrender. Henry says he will if she lets everyone go, but Kathleen has no intention of letting anyone go. Though she understands why Henry did what he did, she claims that Sam is not the most important thing in the world, and that children die all the time. She even goes as far as saying Sam was destined to die, which seems out of character. It makes sense Kathleen wants revenge, and because her humanity is gone and that she's willing to kill everyone, but the fact she claims everything bad happened because of fate is just random. Henry tells Ellie to be ready to take Sam and run when they get the chance. Henry steps out, and before Kathleen can kill him, the crashed truck falls into a hidden tunnel and a swarm of infected rush out. As the resistance fights off the infected, Ellie is separated from Henry and Sam. While everyone flees, Joel protects Ellie. During the mayhem, we witness a new form of the infected, likely some form of late-stage infected. Despite the carnage taking place, Kathleen dies. Joel, Ellie, and Henry and Sam manage to escape while the resistance is forced to fight the infected. And based on the final scene of the carnage, we can assume the resistance is wiped out.
There are no survivors.
Joel, Ellie, Henry, and Sam find shelter. Joel offers Henry a place by his side while they travel to Wyoming. Sam reveals to Ellie he's been bitten. Ellie, knowing she's immune, tries giving some of her blood to Sam. Sadly, this doesn't work and Sam turns. Sam attacks Ellie, and though Henry stops Joel from protecting her, he ends up killing his infected brother. Shocked by what he just did, Henry decides to kill himself.
What did I do? What did I do?
The tragedy ends with Joel burying Henry and Sam, and him and Ellie continuing their journey. This episode shows the loss of humanity and tragedy of the show. Despite Henry's efforts to protect his brother, he failed. Episode 3 showed that there is still hope in the world, which made it hard to guess if Henry and Sam would survive. Though after seeing the infected try to grab them while they were pinned under a car, it was sort of obvious one of them was bitten. But this only adds to the tragedy, more so when Ellie tries to give Sam her blood because she's immune. Perhaps this will cast doubt in her in the future, that there may be no chance to make a cure from her. It's a shame this episode ended in tragedy with the loss of two brothers who loved each other, and how Ellie has to carry this loss after befriending Sam. Speaking of Ellie, I loved Bella Ramsey's performance. So far, we've only seen the tough girl persona who teases Joel.
He's like, no, Ellie, never, ever happened.
With the occasional vulnerable moments. In this episode, we not only see her playful side, we see her vulnerability on full display. In previous episodes, Ellie wasn't afraid to defend herself. For the first time, we see a helpless girl who desperately calls for Joel to protect her, showing that Ellie trusts Joel far more than before, which makes sense given how far Joel has gone to protecting Ellie in Kansas City. Kathleen as the resistance leader isn't too believable. Sure, she's the sister of the former leader, but it's hard to see how anyone would follow such a soft-spoken person 20 years into a zombie apocalypse. She's less of a hardened leader and more of someone unhinged and mentally unstable.
But did you ever stop to think that maybe he was supposed to die? Well, this is what happens when you with fate.
She makes bad decisions, such as focusing on finding Henry for her revenge rather than rally the resistance to form a better community.
I'm not saying we do nothing. We already got a perimeter around the city. We can wait him out. Door to door take a lot of men, and there are other things that probably
He's not my 7th priority, Perry.
But let's not forget she knew that they were infected forcing their way out of the tunnels and kept it secret, showing she's irresponsible.
That is so goddamn stupid.
Despite these criticisms, episode 5 was a solid midpoint to the season, and I can't wait to see what comes next in the second half of the season. Please comment below, as I'd like to hear your own thoughts about episode 6 of The Last of Us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Deviant, and thanks for watching.